Session 3B for measures of performance. As usual, we're going to work through all of them. We've done the comparative approach, the attribute approach, and we're now at the behavioral approach. There is the results quality management. Now for behavioral, that's the one we want to remind you of. The behavioral approach defines the behaviors of an employee that they want exhibited on the job for it to be effective. Now we talked about different techniques used in the behavioral approach, and we've already gone through critical incident and the BARS, which is the behavioral anchored rating scale. Today we hope to be able to go through the BOSS, OBM, and assessment centers. So the behavioral observation scales, or BOSS, is really a variation from BARS, and they are developed from critical incidents but use a larger number of behavioral anchors and require managers to rate the frequency with which the behavior has been exhibited. So look at this example. Now you will see that we are talking about the behavior of overcoming resistance to change. And what you will see on the scale is almost never seen and almost always seen. And so what we look for is the behavioral anchors that you consider are going to be a part of overcoming resistance to change. And we've broken that out into 3 descriptions. If you are overcoming the resistance to change, we expect that you are going to demonstrate the behaviors of describing the details of the change, explaining why the change is necessary, and discussing how the change will affect you. And so what the manager has to be able to do is to say, how often does he see, how often does he observe? Now, it can be linked, of course, to the corporate strategy, and it's preferred by managers and employees when compared to BARS and the graphic rating scales. Let's look at the OBM. And OBM is really referred to, and the OBM is the organizational behavior modification, and it entails managing the behaviors of employees through a formal system of feedback and reinforcement. So it has 4 major components. So 1, you would describe the key behaviors you want to see. 2, use a measuring system to assess whether these are exhibited, inform the employees of those behaviors, and provide the feedback. Now, what I love to be able to use as an example that is easily understood, I believe, is the housekeeping situation where we are teaching how to spread a bed. So we tell you how we want the bed spread. We show you what those steps are in spreading the bed, and then we would give you immediate feedback, because you can look on a bed and see that we've skipped out steps 3 and 4 because the bed does not look right. And so what you're talking about is teaching people how to behave in a certain way following particular steps. So OBM techniques have been used in a variety of settings, and some studies show significant increases in performance, and they tend to increase the frequency of the desired behavior, and they provide specific guidance to employees and can be tied to the company's strategy. Let's look at the last one. It's the assessment center, and the assessment center can be very good when we're talking about behaviors that are mental. And so we're looking at measuring managerial performance in most of these cases. Now, assessment centers can provide an objective measure for individual performance. They are reliable, valid, highly accepted, but they are also very expensive to conduct. Now, many of us would be familiar with assessment centers because we do them a lot in interviewing. So to evaluate behavioral approaches, we can say that there is a clear link with the company's strategy to specific behaviors. It provides specific feedback. The dimensions are usually job relevant, which leads to validity. Users are involved in developing the measures, so acceptability is usually higher. The major weakness has to do with the organizational context of the system. So if the culture does not support it, then we would have difficulties. Clearly, it is not going to be suited for complex jobs where there are multiple ways to achieve success. And that's where we're going to leave it for session 3B.